My name is Dolores Marie Valenti, though everyone has called me Dolo since the day I was born in St. Augustine Hospital on February 14th, 1952. I am 73 years old. I live in a little pink house on Matanzas Avenue that still smells faintly of the gardenias my late husband Tony planted in 1981. And until 8 months ago, I believed the cruelest thing life could do was take a good man too soon. I was wrong. The cruelest thing is to watch the child you carried under your heart decide you are nothing more than a deed with a mortgage balance. It started with a single photograph on Facebook. I was sitting on my lanai drinking café con leche from the same chipped cup Tony used every morning when the picture loaded. My son, Anthony Jr., we call him Tony too, and his wife, Brooke, standing on the bow of a 72-foot Sunseeker yacht flying a just married flag. Brooke wore a crystal beaded gown that cost more than my first car. Tony, too, wore the smile of a man who had never once in his 36 years worried where the next dollar would come from. Caption: Only the people who truly matter. Forever starts now. #Valenti Biles. There were 23 guests in the photo. I counted them twice. I was not one of them. I called Tony too, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Baby, did you get married yesterday?" The 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Finally. "Hey, Mom, we decided to keep it super intimate. Didn't want to stress you with the heat and planning. We'll do a big party in the fall when it cools down." Stress me? The same woman who had paid the $28,000 a month maintenance on their oceanfront condo in Sunny Isles for the last 42 months so they could build their brand. The same woman who sent an extra $15,000 every December so they could do Christmas big. The same woman who refinanced the Matanzas house twice to keep the condo from going into foreclosure when the building's special assessments hit. I closed Facebook, opened my banking app, and stared at the automatic payment labeled Sunny Isles Condo, Tony and Brooke. 42 months times $28,000 equals $1,176,000 in maintenance alone. That didn't count the $1.4 million purchase price I paid cash in 2018, the $380,000 in renovations they had to have, the $92,000 yacht club membership, the $47,000 wedding that apparently never happened for me to attend. I cried once, quiet, ladylike tears, into Tony Sr.'s old handkerchief. Then I stopped, because something inside me that had been asleep for 21 years since the morning Tony Sr. died of a heart attack on the 17th green of the Pont Vedra Inn woke up and stretched like a cat that had finally decided the sun was warm enough to move. I called Regina Morales. Regina is 68, Cuban-American, former Miami-Dade prosecutor, and the most feared condo law attorney south of Palm Beach. I met her in 1992 when Tony Sr. and I bought our first investment property. She still wears the same shade of red lipstick and still scares grown men into early retirement. I told her everything. When I finished, there were 43 seconds of pure Miami silence. "Dolo," she said finally, "do you still have the original warranty deed?" "Yes." "And the condo docs never transferred title out of your name alone?" "Never. Tony, too, kept saying they'd refinance next year." Regina laughed the way hurricanes laugh. "Mija, you don't need revenge. You need a code violation report and a polite letter to the association president. Leave the rest to me." Phase 1 began the next morning. I drove to Sunny Isles in my 2011 white Cadillac DTS, the last car Tony Sr. ever rode in, and parked across the street from the building I still legally owned. La Perla Ocean Residences, 42 stories of glass and ego on the sand. I spent 3 hours walking every common area with the original 2006 condo documents in one hand and my phone camera in the other. I found balconies enclosed without permits, marble floors laid over the original concrete slab without engineering approval, HVAC units moved to the roof without riser modifications, a wine cellar dug into the parking garage that compromised a load-bearing column, electrical panels that would make any fire marshal reach for nitroglycerin pills. I photographed everything. Then I went home, baked Regina's favorite guava pastelitos from scratch, and waited. 2 weeks later, the city of Sunny Isles Beach issued a notice of violation so thick it needed its own binder. Estimated cost to cure, $4.7 million, unit by unit, with La Perla del Mar Unit 3901, mine, flagged as ground zero, because the unpermitted wine cellar had actually cracked the foundation beam. The association scheduled an emergency meeting. Regina and I attended wearing Sunday dresses and the serene expressions of women who already know the ending. The president, a retired dermatologist named Dr. Feldstein, tried to be diplomatic. "Mrs. Valenti, your son assured us all renovations were approved." I smiled the way my own mother smiled when the priest asked if anyone objected. "Doctor, my son is 36 years old and has never once in his life filled out a permit application. I, on the other hand, still own the unit. I'm happy to fix everything, but the association will need to assess every owner their share. I estimate Unit 3901's portion at about $820,000. I'll pay it the day my name comes off the deed." You could have heard the Atlantic Ocean change course. Tony 2 and Brooke were in Bali on a delayed honeymoon, paid for, naturally, by me. They got the news via WhatsApp at 3 a.m. their time. I was asleep under the ceiling fan Tony Sr. installed himself, dreaming of gardenias. They landed at Miami International 41 hours later, looking like they had been dragged through a Category 5. I was waiting at my little pink house with a pot of black beans on the stove and a manila envelope on the table. Brooke walked in first, still wearing sunglasses indoors. "Dolo, honey, there's been a terrible misunderstanding." I slid the envelope across the table. Inside, the code violation notice, the association's demand letter for $820,000 due in 45 days, and a quitclaim deed already prepared transferring Unit 3901 to Anthony Valenti Jr. and Brooke Valenti for love and affectionus, spelling intentional. "Sign it," I said gently. "The unit becomes yours alone. The violations become yours alone. The $820,000 becomes yours alone. I'll even leave the furniture." Tony 2's face went the color of printer paper. "Mom, we can't afford that. We don't have—" "You have 45 days, I repeated. "After that, the association files liens, then foreclosure. You'll never get another mortgage in the state of Florida." Brooke started crying the way influencers cry when the ring light breaks. Tony, too, tried the little boy voice he used when he was 9 and wanted to stay up for the Super Bowl. "Mom, please, we'll lose everything." I looked at him for a long time. 21 years earlier, I had held his hand in Baptist Hospital while they restarted Tony Sr.'s heart 4 times. I had sold the boat, the beach house, the Rolex, everything except the Matanzas house to keep him in private school after his father died. I had missed my own retirement to keep that condo afloat. And he had told the world only 23 people truly mattered. Everything, I said softly, is exactly what I gave you for 12 years. Now it's your turn to figure out what matters. They left without touching the black beans. 3 days later, the condo board condemned the entire 39th and 40th floors pending structural repairs. Red tags went up on every door. Residents had 30 days to vacate. I baked more pastelitos and took them to the weekly rosary group at Basilica de San Lorenzo. The ladies prayed for my soul. I prayed for strength. Tony, too, and Brooke moved into a 1,200-square-foot apartment in Aventura that smelled like old curry and broken dreams. Brooke got a job selling Hermes bags at Ball Harbor, commission only. Tony, too, started driving for Uber Black on weekends. I kept the Cadillac, the pink house, and the gardenias. But the story doesn't end there, because 6 weeks after the red tags went up, I got a letter from a Coconut Grove law firm I did not recognize. Inside, petition for guardianship of Dolores Marie Valenti, alleging diminished capacity, onset dementia, and irrational dissipation of assets. They attached affidavits from Brooke claiming I had become paranoid about permits, from Dr. Feldstein testifying I cried inappropriately at the association meeting, from a psychiatrist neither of us had ever met who diagnosed me via Zoom after Brooke scheduled a wellness check I never agreed to. They wanted temporary emergency guardianship over my person and my estate. Translation, they wanted to sell the Matanzas house to pay for the condo repairs. I called Regina at 6:03 a.m. She answered on the first ring. "Those motherless bastards," she said reverently. "Meet me at the courthouse in 2 hours. Bring your checkbook and every grocery receipt from the last 10 years. We fought back with receipts, literally. Regina subpoenaed every Zelle, every Venmo, every wire transfer. The Neiman Marcus bills for Brooke's handbags, kind school tuition. Brooke and Shelby arrived to Little Conspiracy, where she was known to be backstreet fake, and their girl selves were known as Hot Girls Lunga, so Philly, 90s cop girls, not the Deuce TV cop girls that's all gossip. The yacht broker who confirmed the bachelor party that cost $87,000, the contractor who admitted under oath that Tony too had paid him in cash to skip the permit office. We hired Dr. Elena Marquez, head of geriatrics at Mount Sinai, who spent 4 hours with me and declared, on video, under oath, that my cognition was sharper than most of her medical residents. The hearing was held on a Tuesday in Judge Maria Teresa Alvarez's courtroom in downtown Miami. The air conditioning was broken. Everyone sweated except me and Regina. We wore lemon and righteousness. Brooke took the stand in a modest navy dress 2 sizes too small for the occasion. She cried on cue. Tony, too, looked like he hadn't slept since Bali. Regina's cross-examination lasted 19 minutes. "Mrs. Valenti," she began, "when was the last time you visited your mother-in-law without asking for money?" Brooke opened her mouth, closed it. "Can you name one?" Regina pressed. More silence. She turned to Tony, too. "Mr. Valenti, do you know the combination to your mother's safe?" He nodded. "What is it?" he recited Tony Sr.'s birthday. Regina smiled like Christmas. "So the woman you claim has dementia trusted you with the combination to a safe containing the only copies of her original estate documents? Interesting. Dr. Marquez testified that my brain was a national treasure. The contractor cried, actually cried, when shown photos of the cracked foundation beam and admitted he warned Tony too it was dangerous. Judge Alvarez didn't even leave the bench. Petition denied with prejudice, she said. Furthermore, this court finds the filings frivolous and bordering on elder abuse. Petitioners will pay Mrs. Valenti's legal fees and a sanction of $25,000 to the Little Sisters of the Poor. Mrs. Valenti, you are free to continue being a magnificent pain in your children's entitled asses for as long as you live. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and did something I hadn't done since Tony Sr.'s funeral. I curtsied to the judge. Outside, in the wilting Miami heat, Brooke tried one last time. She grabbed my sleeve with fingers that still had Bali sand under the nails. Dalo, we're family. I looked at her the way the ocean looks at a grain of sand. Family is the people who show up when the yacht is gone and the red tags are on the door. Family is the people who don't measure love in maintenance fees. I got into my white Cadillac, rolled the window down, and added, "Oh, and the condo sold yesterday. Cash. Chinese buyers. They close in 21 days. I left the pink flamingo salt and pepper shakers on the counter. You always hated those." I never saw them again. 8 months later, I still live in the little pink house on Matanzas Avenue. The gardenias bloom twice a year now because I finally have time to fertilize them properly. With the proceeds from the condo sale, after capital gains and Regina's well-earned fee, I bought a small stucco ranch in St. Augustine with 5 acres and a barn. I named it Our Lady of Second Chances Rescue. We take in senior dogs, senior cats, and the occasional senior parrot whose owner died and whose children can't have pet hair on the sofa. There are 29 residents right now. There's Lucy, a 14-year-old beagle who was found tied to a dumpster behind a Winn-Dixie. There's Captain Jack, a one-eyed macaw who says, "I love you, Dolo," in Tony Heener's exact voice. He learned it from me talking to the empty air some nights. There's Sweet Pea, a 15-year-old tabby who sleeps on the pillow Tony Sr. used for 31 years. Every morning, I wake up to the sound of gray muzzles snuffling for breakfast and the soft creak of old bones climbing onto my bed because they know the spot beside me is always warm. Every morning, I make café con leche in the same chipped cup and carry it to the porch where the gardenias still grow. Some days the ache for the little boys who used to run barefoot through these rooms catches me sideways. I let myself cry for exactly one song, usually Tony Bennett, sometimes Andrea Bocelli. Then Lucy limps over, puts her gray head on my knee, and waits. She has learned that grief has a time limit in this house, and love does not. On my 74th birthday, the dogs threw me a party. 29 paper hats, a sheet cake from Publix that said "World's Best Mommy," and one very off-key rendition of Las Mañanitas led by Captain Jack. I blew out the candles while Sweet Pea purred against my ankle, and Lucy leaned so hard I almost fell over. Later that night, I sat on the porch swing Tony Sr. built the year Tony II was born. The stars were thick and low, the way they only get in old Florida. I thought about the wedding I never attended, the yacht I never boarded, the condo I no longer own. Then Lucy sighed in her sleep. Captain Jack muttered, "Night-night, beautiful," and I smiled so wide my cheeks hurt. Because I finally understood the secret Tony Sr. tried to teach me the week before he died. Love is not a deed you sign. Love is not a monthly maintenance fee. Love is not a guest list of 23 people who decided you don't matter. Love is 29 gray muzzles that turn when you walk into the room, 29 tails that wag when you cry,
29 hearts that never once asked you to refinance your life to prove you were worthy. I still have the mother of the bride dress hanging in the back of my closet, pale seafoam chiffon with tags still on. Lucy sleeps on it sometimes. She says it's the softest bed in the whole house. And every night before I turn off the light, I whisper the same 4 words to the dark. I only help special people now. Then I listen to 29 different versions of snoring answer back. We know, Mommy. We've always known.
That's the end of today's tale. Thank you, beautiful listeners, for being here with me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I loved sharing it with you.